Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Getting ready to record this week's Mike in the Midwest for our awesome patrons. So get this set up here. We will get talking some baseball. It's opening day. Yes. All right, let's do this. Let's talk opening day in St. Louis and why it's probably more special here than anywhere else in the country. Not that it's not special everywhere else. Let's do this. Happy Thursday. Joining us live on YouTube. Hopefully, you're having a good day. All right, here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 41 of Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. My name is Mike Rallman, host of that Be Our Guest podcast, which, of course, you know. Why am I telling you? You're the super fans. You're the amazing fans. You're the incredible fans. You can check us out every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Don't forget to check out the feed today. The show that Scott and I did this past Sunday night is live right now on the feed. You want to check that out. No fooling. It's a lot of fun. We get into a lot of history, and some of the information there could be from, it could hold you over for a good decade. 2011 was a great year. So make sure you check out that show. And of course, that's called the BOGP Open Line. We have a good time talking Disney and taking your calls. So check that out on the feed today. I hope everybody's having a great start to your month of April. Here in St. Louis today, it is beautiful. It's sunny outside, but it is cold. As I look down at my Apple Watch right now, I mean, we're almost lunchtime. It is still 37 degrees. So it's chilly. April's coming in chilly, but at least it's sunny. No rain in the forecast. But by the weekend for Easter, I think they're saying 75. So, hey, it's spring in the Midwest. It'll turn cold. It'll get warm. It goes back and forth before it kind of stables out towards mid to late May. And then, of course, it'll be hot and we'll be complaining about the heat and humidity. So what can you do? Not bad, though. It's sunny and everybody's happy. And, of course, it is opening day, which is going to be our topic here in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about opening day around the country. You don't have to be a baseball fan. We're going to kind of talk about geography and just how you have pride for where you grow up. So we'll talk about that and what that means to somebody here in the Midwest. But before we do that, since you are a patron, I wanted to let you know something that, because, if I put this out on the general feed, we have, thousands and thousands of listeners, I would get overwhelmed. But of course, we have a core group here, and I just wanted to get it to our super fans first. You're going to hear about this probably later today. So I wanted you to be the first to know. Max Pass. I don't know if you know what Max Pass is, right? Max Pass it's Disneyland's version of Fast Pass, but it is a lot more convenient. It runs on your phone, and this is going to work in conjunction with Magic Mobile. You've maybe if you saw my Instagram feed earlier this week, I took a picture of my Apple Watch and my iPhone, where now I have my annual pass right there. And with Magic Mobile, it's pretty cool because one of the complaints I heard, it's kind of like it turns your Apple Watch or your iPhone into a Magic Band. It does everything a Magic Band does. You can charge, you can get into the park, you can open your hotel room door, stuff like that. One of the complaints I heard about Magic Mobile, though, is that, some people don't babysit their batteries on their mobile phones as well as I do. I always have many external batteries. I never want to go dead. But the thing is, on your iPhone, even with a dead phone, it will still work. You just got to hold it up to the touch point and you can get through, because there's like a separate little, I don't know, chip or some kind of subsystem. It's made really to kind of use for like subways in metropolitan areas like in New York City, Washington, D.C., where you just hold your phone up. It doesn't even have to be on. And some kind of chip inside the phone activates and it scans and you're on your way. So that's going to be something good. Okay, we had that came out, was it like couple days ago? Because I took that picture. I'm excited because now my Apple Watch, I feel like I have my Magic Band on 24/7 because I can just double click here. I can scan for those watching. I can look at my credit cards, but bam, right there. There's my annual pass with my Mickey on it. So that's pretty sweet. Here's the other thing you're going to find out about today. It's funny. They put this, out. I guess it's like step one, step two. Max Pass coming to Walt Disney World starting on July 1st. Now, Max Pass is, here's the good and the bad, right? We've been wanting Fast Pass. I've been saying that. Ricky's like, I don't want Fast Pass. I do, because I want to have guaranteed experiences with shorter wait times. Max Pass is going to be one of those things, just like at Disneyland, $15 a day. You can buy it and add it to your package, or you can buy it day of, and you get to use your mobile device to kind of schedule experiences throughout the park. You don't actually have to go to the land or to the attraction to grab that Fast Pass. But yeah, Max Pass coming to Walt Disney World July 1st. And on-site guests, you can purchase this 60 days before your arrival and start getting after it. So there you go. You're going to hear that later today. Not Fast Pass, but we're getting Max Pass at Walt Disney World. So if you want it, you're going to not have to stand in line as much, but you do have to pay for it. So it's a pay for play system, but hey, that's how a lot of things have been going the last few years. All right. So I want to give that to you first. Now let's hop into opening day memories and why opening day is a big deal where I come from. And I'm going to kind of talk not only about baseball, but about where, the relationship of St. Louis into the Midwest and why I think the Cardinals are a big deal to somebody like me in their mid 40s that has lived in St. Louis our whole life. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are from other places in the country, other places in the world. If you don't know, if you're not a sports fan, don't tune out, because this is going to be not just about baseball, but about pride for where you grow up. Today, April 1st, is opening day for all 30 of the Major League Baseball teams. Now, they don't usually do this where every team opens on the exact same day. Historically, the Cincinnati Reds, for some reason, always have the first game of the year. I think they're one of the oldest teams, I believe. And ironically enough, the Cardinals are playing the Reds. My team, the St. Louis Cardinals, are playing the Reds today in Cincinnati for their home opener. But today, for some reason, every team is on the schedule to open on the same day. It's kind of cool because that way, you're not the team that's not playing and you're like all sad because everybody else is having their opening day. However, I did see already that the Orioles and Red Sox have been rained out or frozen out. And I know that there's snow in a couple locations because there's a cold snap going through the Midwest, the upper Midwest, and the Northeast right now. So where the Cardinals are playing, where I think it is going to be sunny this afternoon about 3:15. I saw the high in Cincinnati is going to be 40 degrees. Jack Flaherty, our starting pitcher, is high-fiving the meteorologist, because if you're a pitcher, it's ideal to pitch in 40-degree weather, because as a hitter, you don't want nothing to do with the fastball in on your hands when it's that cold. You get the bees, it vibrates your bat and it really hurts your hands. So pitcher advantage. But so that's kind of where we are. So if you're wondering why today I'm talking about this, today is day one of baseball season. Now let's talk about baseball season and how it relates to Mike in the Midwest, and how it relates to my life, and how it relates to being somebody who grew up in St. Louis, right in the dead center of the country. I grew up again in a town called Florissant, about 20 miles northwest of downtown St. Louis. It's a suburb of about 50,000 people. And I think, as I look back on being a Cardinals fan now for my entire life, for about 47 years that I've been around, the Cardinals are very special to almost every person who either has grown up in St. Louis or even who has moved into St. Louis. I will start off by saying that the St. Louis Cardinals are a very good corporate citizen to not only, the city itself, because we have a St. Louis City, which is down, of course, where the Arch is and the Mississippi River and the ballpark. And we have the old courthouse and the Blues play down. Our city is down there. It's called the City of St. Louis. Then we have St. Louis County that surrounds the city. And then I'm in St. Charles County, which is a county out to the west. But we all consider ourselves the St. Louis region. So we all root for the Cardinals. They're all our team. But I will say the Cardinals do a lot of good in the city of St. Louis, in the metropolitan area. For example, they have a thing called Cardinals Care, which is their charity arm. And they do a lot for children in hospitals and making baseball fields in areas that wouldn't normally have a baseball field for kids to play in, giving the kids equipment, bats, balls, gloves. There's just a lot of that. They step up in a big way. And they're kind of a way that all of us as fans can get behind the team, but also get behind our community, all rally together. So I will say they're a great corporate citizen. And also, the thing about being from St. Louis and being a Cardinals fan is that, my dad was a diehard Cardinals fan, and my grandpa was a diehard Cardinals fan because we're all from St. Louis. And the thing is, like, and again, this is not unique to St. Louis. I'm sure. I'm sure there's Yankee fans or Sox fans or Detroit Tiger fans or even teams that haven't been around as long, Mariners fans out on the West Coast or Dodgers fans. I'm sure this happens in all kinds of families. Just baseball has been a common thread in my family. We always talked about baseball. We still do. When I call my dad on the phone, sometimes we don't talk for a week because like my dad works for the Blues, and a lot of times he's at the state. He's either at the practice facility on an away game, or they're doing them from bars now, or he's down at the Enterprise Center where the Blues play, and he goes down early and the game goes late. I don't get to talk to him in the evening. So sometimes it'll be a week before we talk. First thing we always talk about is Flaherty's going to tear him up today because it's 40 degrees. It's always baseball talk. Even if we haven't talked for a couple weeks, it starts off by baseball. Did you see that bonehead play that Dexter Fowler made in right field? It's kind of that kind of stuff. And he'll be, I love Fowler. My daughter loves Dexter Fowler, by the way, Mallory, and we traded him. So made the team better. I'll say I love Dexter Fowler as a guy, but man, he was killing our team. He couldn't hit. And I think the Cubs tricked us there by giving us to him. Anyway, I can talk baseball all day. So the thing is, with the Cardinals and being somebody from St. Louis, it's almost like you're born into the fandom. I know some people are like this with Disney because their parents were people that went to Disneyland in the 50s, 60s. Some folks went to Disney World since the time we talked with somebody on Monday. First time she went to Disney World, she was 18 days old. That was not me. I didn't have that kind of Disney fandom. I discovered it later in life. But in St. Louis, when you're born, no kidding. Like today, I guarantee they do this every year. Today, all the babies born in all the hospitals in St. Louis will get Cardinal onesies and they'll get little Cardinal caps because it'll be on the news. It is every year on opening day. So you're going to see that. So you're kind of born into it, and all over social media today. I've seen folks from St. Louis, TV reporters from St. Louis talking about how they're getting their kids. This is their Cardinal jersey for 21. You get a new Cardinal shirt or a Cardinals hoodie or a Cardinals cap. I can't tell you how many caps I have. Like right now I'm wearing the Sunday cap. This is our one that we wear at home on Sundays with the bird on the bat. I think this is their coolest looking hat, but we have the STL hat. We got, we just have so many hats. But as a St. Louisan and you start to accumulate all this gear. I probably have 15 different Cardinal shirts that I've gotten from either Father's Day gifts or birthdays or Christmas or, what have you, because the go-to for a dad in St. Louis is something Cardinals, something Mizzou, possibly something St. Louis Blues in the wintertime. But you accumulate this stuff. And I'm sure that, again, Yankees fans have all kinds of Yankee stuff. Even though the Cardinals have more variations of their uniforms than like the Yankees, they're so classic with the pinstripes, the NY on the hat. We have a little bit more variety, but of course it always comes down to me, the birds on the bat. We have the most classic logo in baseball. I know Yankees fans come at me, Sox, whatever. I love the two birds on the bat. That's baseball to me. So anyway, you're born into the fandom. So when you're a little kid, you are given a cap. You're given your STL red Cardinals cap. And most kids, I will say, at least of my generation, maybe not so much this generation, but my generation, everybody got a glove when they were little. I mean, everybody that I knew got a glove. Even the girls got a glove. And we would, play catch. But the thing is, here's why I think St. Louis really is a baseball town. There's a few reasons, but one of them that I will propose is that we have an AM radio station that in St. Louis, it's called KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. It's the most powerful AM radio station. It's a 50,000 watt clear channel station, and it's been there for decades. It's been at 11:20 a.m. forever. My entire life, well before I was born in 73. It's been on the air, and it's the news station. It's the talk station, and it's the station that covers the Cardinals. They're the home of the Cardinals, and they have been the home of the Blues in the past. They're not right now, but They also had the football Cardinals when they were here. And so when you wanted sports and you wanted news, you always go to KMOX, and it is the voice of St. Louis. The announcers there that do the news in the morning, that do the news in the afternoons, they're folks that have been on the air literally for decades. I've grown up listening to these people deliver the news, and they're sports journalists. They've been there for decades. You rarely get a new voice on this station, so it's like comfort food. It's almost like audio wallpaper. When I drive around in my Jeep in the summertime, I'll have the top down, the doors off, and maybe I'm just driving to pick up Mallory from cheerleading or going to grab something to eat. You just, and I know a lot of people listen to Pandora or Apple Music or what have you. I put on KMOX, and it's in the summertime, it's usually a ball game. And the thing is, we have been blessed. And again, this is a Cardinals fan thing, but I think it's just also a hometown pride kind of thing. We have been blessed in St. Louis with amazing radio announcers. Amazing radio announcers. Now, I know that, the Dodgers have had some amazing announcers. I listen to the Yankees on the radio because I have the MLB app on my phone. They have an amazing team. The gentleman, because I don't know their names, the gentleman and the woman that do the games together, they do a great job. Of course, Vin Scully, did games for decades out with the Dodgers. Just amazing. They have a cool team now with Rick Monday, and I can't remember who the other announcer is, but I enjoy them. But as Cardinal fans, we had Jack Buck and Mike Shannon. And the thing is, like, Mike Shannon, he's in his 50th year with the Cardinals this year. It's his last year in the booth calling the games. He's going to call about 60 games. He turned 80 this year. And the thing for me about listening to the Cardinals and having the Cardinals back, it's opening day. The Cardinals are going to be back with me every day until October, I hope, is that I remember listening to games that were being called by Jack Buck and Mike Shannon. I literally remember games being called by them when I was 6 years old, sitting in my grandparents' house. Because again, on Sundays, we would go to church, and my grandparents went to the same church. And then after church got out at noon. We would go back to grandma and grandpa's house, and grandma would leave. She would go to church earlier than the rest of us, and she would leave at 11, come home and make dinner. And we'd eat dinner at around noon when we got all back to their house after church. And the thing was, this is pretty amazing for those folks that are a little bit younger. Every game was not on TV. It was rare to have a game on TV, especially home games. We never saw a game from Busch Stadium because of blackout rules. Back in the day, they were never on TV. So I just remember a lot of times, this time of year, maybe May, once we got into warmer, more stable temperatures, my grandparents had a gazebo that my grandpa built onto the deck where there was a big table on the gazebo with the ceiling fan above it. In so many days, we would have our Sunday dinner out on the gazebo outside, and we'd have the Cardinals game on the radio. And I still remember because it didn't come in crystal clear. Even though it was a 50,000 watt station, we were probably 30 miles from the antenna from the tower where we lived. You would still occasionally get if like there was a little, storm in the area or somewhere nearby, you would hear the crackling of the AM radio, which I think gave it character. But we'd have Mike Shannon and Jack Buck, and I always perceived them to be best friends, right? They called 162 games every year together. I don't know if they were best friends, but man, Jack Buck was a poet, and he was somebody who could paint the picture. And I think that made me a better writer and somebody who appreciates the game more, because Jack Buck was the play-by-play man, and he would absolutely paint the picture of what was happening on the field through his words. He would give us the description of the uniforms as the game started. The Cardinals were out there in their home whites with the birds on the bat, the red birds, two bats on the gold, or two red birds on the gold bat. I'm terrible at it. He would talk about, the way the stock, what did they have on stirrups today? Did they have on the long pants? He painted the picture. He told us, was it a crisp day? Was it a smothering, stifling, humid day in July at Busch Stadium on the AstroTurf? And the thing was, he was just always telling stories. That's the thing about baseball. It doesn't move so fast that you can't tell stories. And that's where Mike Shannon came in. So Mike Shannon would be the color guy, former player for the Cardinals, great player, Cardinal Hall of Famer. and he would share the stories. And it was like Mike Shannon's like everybody that's my age's uncle. Like it's sad that this is last year, but I mean, he's 80 years old. He's given us a lifetime of memories in the booth. And so I think a lot of towns have this, right? You have your voice of your team. And for me, Jack Buck passed. I still remember where I was. I was working at Space Camp in 2002. It was either 2002 or 2003. I was working down there because I worked at Space Camp in the summers, and we got the news that Jack Buck had passed from Parkinson's. We knew he had Parkinson's for quite a while, and it was rough. I mean, I remember crying because it was like, I didn't know Jack Buck, but I mean, he was always there, and he was always comforting because, when the Cardinals played on the West Coast, you'd fall asleep listening to a Cardinal Dodgers game or a Cardinals Padres game or the Cardinals and the Giants. And it was always the stories. And back in the day, it was always interesting because you didn't have ESPN either. So I would always stay tuned after the game because they would do the star of the game. They would interview somebody who had a remarkable game. But after that, I still remember this. They'd give the scores of all the ongoing games because you'd try to find out how everybody, maybe how the Royals were doing. Because you never knew because you didn't have the internet when you were a kid. And then I remember, but before they signed off, he'd always go be like, we're going to go check the ticker. We'll be back in 1 minute to wrap it up. And so I would imagine that he goes down to some teletype machine, pulls off the last piece of paper, gives us the scores from around the leagues, American and national, and then takes off for the night. But it was more like it was comfort. And I think that is why Cardinal fans appreciate the game, because Jack Buck and Mike Shannon explained it to us, and it made it majestic. It made it approachable, though. It made it a great game to really enjoy. And also, they told us about the players, and that's why every team has their players, right? I mean, the Yankees have countless heroes, the Dodgers, the Tigers, the Cubs. The younger teams don't have quite as many, like a Marlins or a Diamondbacks, but every team has their favorite guys. But I grew up in a time in the 80s, the Cardinals were outstanding, and that was my youth. We had Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith, the Wizard of Oz. I mean, he made playing baseball like a circus act. He changed the game. Vince Coleman, he could steal bases at will. Willie McGee, he made playing center field and hitting just amazing. John Tudor, I was a left-handed pitcher. We had all these guys, and of course, before them, Bob Forsch and Bob Gibson and Lou Brock, Stan Musial, the best player of all time. I mean, we have this history, and so our announcers really told us that these people were human, but really built them up for us. And now we have Nolan Arenado and my Goldschmidt. Wainwright's my favorite player. Yachty. I mean, it's just we have a embarrassment of riches when it comes to good people and good baseball players in St. Louis. But let me get to you why I truly think that there's a love affair between the Cardinals and our city, unlike other cities. Now, again, please don't take this as I think that Cardinals fans are so much more loyal to their team than Yankees fans or Sox fans or Tigers fans or what have you. It's not that. But to me, I think it comes down to what our city's been through. The Cardinals have been in St. Louis for over 100 years. So we have that generational thing, right, that I mentioned. My dad loved the Cardinals. My grandpa loved the Cardinals. When I would go over to my grandpa's, if I was down in the basement and going through, just junk because I was there, you would see an old scorecard from Sportsman's Park, which was our ballpark from like 3 ballparks ago. And you would see that he kept score, and maybe he got an autograph that day. And then you would sit down with grandpa and talk about what it was like at Sportsman's Park. It had a short right field, had a big porch with a screen. It was easy for the left-handed hitters to get it out of there, and how the pitchers had to adjust their pitching and so forth. So it was that thing. And you would see, an old cap that grandpa had, and it didn't look like current caps because obviously ball caps change over the years. And so you would, put it on, and it was like, going back to the 1950s and the the 1930s gas house gang. So I think you got that generational thing. But on top of that with St. Louis, I think we love the Cardinals so much because our town has really been hurt over the years. Now, if you study the history of St. Louis, in my opinion, St. Louis peaked in the 1950s. St. Louis was a destination in the mid 1900s. That's the 1950s and the 1960s. I mean, we're Disney fans, right? We were super close to getting a Disney park in an area called Laclede's Landing downtown. It was just a blink away, except old Augie Bush, who owns the Anheuser-Busch, he wanted to sell beer in his park, and I don't think Walt Disney wanted anything to do with having to sell beer in his park. Funny how times have changed, because you can buy alcohol now at Disneyland, you can buy alcohol in the Magic Kingdom, but that's just kind of a funny little connection, though. But St. Louis was really just it was a destination city in the mid 1900s. Anywhere in the United States, people wanted to come to St. Louis. We built the capsules that put men in space in St. Louis. We built those in Florissant, at McDonnell Douglas. We built the Gateway Arch in '66. That was a huge accomplishment, and people love talking about the Gateway Arch. We had the riverboats. We had lots of riverboats downtown at that time. We had the new Busch Stadium back in the day, that multi-purpose stadium that was for the St. Louis baseball Cardinals and the football Cardinals. Pretty beautiful stadium with the arches all the way around. I got to pitch there a couple times. I still miss that ballpark. But St. Louis was definitely on its way up in the 50s. And like many metropolitan areas, moving into the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the downtown kind of fell apart. Cardinals were still always there, though. Cardinals were still always there. Today, our city is not, St. Louis it's not a destination city. I'll admit that. It's not a destination city anymore. People don't typically come to St. Louis for vacation, unless maybe you're from outstate Missouri, outstate Illinois. But if you're going to come to St. Louis, for the most part, you're coming to St. Louis maybe to watch a Cardinals game. That's about it. And you might stay in a hotel downtown. You might do some of the other attractions. We have a nice zoo. We got the Gateway Arch. We got some riverboat cruises. We have some stuff. But in the 50s, it was like a big deal to come to St. Louis. Now it's kind of like a regional thing. And on top of that, the Cardinals have always been a regional baseball team. We weren't just a St. Louis team, because for a while we were the furthest west baseball team in the league. So anybody that was in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Nebraska, Kansas, a lot of folks in Iowa, they would get KMOX at night. They could listen to the ball games, and therefore they became Cardinal fans. So we have Cardinal fans from all around the Mid-South, the Midwest, and that's kind of a cool thing. But again, I get back to the thing. We love the Cardinals because our town has been hurt. So if you know anything about St. Louis, we had an NBA team at one point. We had the Spirits of St. Louis. They're the Atlanta Hawks. They left us. We also had the football Cardinals. I was a football Cardinal fan growing up. They were never very good. I don't think they ever made the playoffs, but we had some fun players. Jim Hart was our quarterback. Neil Lomax, Pat Tilley was a receiver. Otis Anderson. We had some good players, and we had some good teams. We just never made the playoffs. You know what? They left. They're now the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL. Then we had the Rams, right? We had the St. Louis Rams. We won a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner. And so we enjoyed that time being an NFL, a big time city again in the early 2000s. Like, we struck gold again. We got an NFL team back, and we were excited for that. We were on the world stage, greatest show on turf. Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk. I mean, it wasn't a matter of if we were going to win the football game, it was by how many points are we going to win. We had a streak there. We felt like a big town again. And guess what? The Rams went back to Los Angeles. Our town has been hurt time and time again. The reason the Cardinal fans are loyal to the Cardinals is because they've always been here and they haven't left. And after every team left, we became more attached to the Cardinals. Like, you guys are not going to leave. You've always been here for us. Forget the NBA. The Spirits left. Forget the NFL. We've been duped by them twice. We love the Cardinals because they are our team. They're the heart. They're the essence of St. Louis. If you meet somebody at Walt Disney World that's from St. Louis, they're probably going to have a Cardinal hat on, or they're going to want to talk about the Cardinals, maybe a Cardinal shirt. They're going to be proud of the Cardinals for the most part. Most people. I will say that. The Cardinals are kind of our identity here in St. Louis. I get back to like New York. You have all kinds of sports teams. You have 2 ball teams. You got the Mets and the Yankees. You got 2 hockey teams. You have 2 football teams. You have basketball teams. I mean, Chicago, same way. I mean, we just have the Cardinals and the Blues, and the Blues fandom is exactly the same. They've been here since they came into the league in 67. We couldn't win for anything. And then we won a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago in 2019. Amazing. Blues fans are passionate like nobody else, but especially Cardinals fans because it is run in families for over 100 years. So today is opening day. It's a huge deal in St. Louis. For one thing, we live in a terrible climate for the winter. When it's opening day, it doesn't mean the bad weather's gone, but it means most of the bad weather's behind us. Let's get on to summer. Let's get on to grilling. Let's get on to making hot dogs. Let's get down to Busch Stadium. Let's turn on KMOX. Let's cut the grass. Let's have picnics. Let's be ready for summer and let's play ball. And that's really what it means to be a Cardinals fan. And that's why opening day is such a big deal. We look forward to small things like we have our Clydesdales. Now, today's not the home opener. That'll be next week when we have our first game at Busch Stadium. But when we have that first game at Busch Stadium, we have our hometown pride. We have those Clydesdales, those big horses with the white feet. They pull the hitch, the Anheuser-Busch hitch, because Anheuser-Busch, the brewery, owned the Cardinals for years and years, and that's a tradition, and we still carry that on today. We have the Hall of Famers come out. Our St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Famers come out in convertibles first in their red jackets, and then the players come out in convertibles. It's amazing. We've been doing this for decades, and it's the signal of everything that's right about St. Louis. There's a lot wrong with St. Louis right now, but one thing that's right about St. Louis is the St. Louis Cardinals and being a fan. All right, so that's going to wrap up Mike in the Midwest. By the way, happy April Fool's Day. There's no Max Pass for Walt Disney World. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for your support of the show here on Patreon. I cannot thank you enough for that. Hope you enjoyed our little chat about what it means to be a Cardinals fan in St. Louis. We'll get back to another topic next week. If you have a suggestion, what do you want to hear on Mike in the Midwest? Shoot me an email, mike@beourguestpodcast.com. We'll get that on here right away. You all stay safe, stay healthy, and play ball. All righty, everybody. We will catch you in a bit.